session to a stress management session. So just a brief preface. All of us gathered here are pharmacists. We are well familiar with the physiology of this process. Stress drains energy and demand rest from routine. On a lighter note, even attending intellectual lectures for 5 consecutive days may generate a stress. Stress induces the production of cortisol, epinephrine, non-epinephrine, resulting in increase in blood pressure, diabetes, mental times and awareness. However, when this happens constantly, it can have negative implications to the point where it can affect a person's mental and physical health and well-being. Stress has now become a 21st century syndrome born out of our race towards modern progress and its complexities. Indeed, we often find ourselves saying, I am too stressed out to do this, or I need a break, it's been a stressful week. It is unavoidable in today's world. The rat race increasing tremendously in recent years. Efficiently managing stress has become imperative. Effective stress management can help us be happier, healthier, and more productive.
आणि ते 5,000 समजा ते हे करून उरलेले 1,000 आपल्याला जे पेन ड्राइव्ह वगैरे
Somebody has to mute. Yeah. With the rat race increasing tremendously in recent years, efficiently managing stress has become imperative. And effective stress management can help us be happier, healthier, and more productive, ultimately enabling us to lead a balanced life with time for work, relationship, and relaxation, while building in us the resilience to meet personal and professional challenges head on. The next session will focus on helping us understand the causes of stress in our lives and teach us some useful stress management tips and techniques. There are indeed scientific ways to enjoy stress. It's my honor and privilege to invite our today's last session, a renowned speaker, Mr. Prahlad Pai, on this platform. Welcome, sir. To introduce him, I would request Mr. Subhash Kelkar, the Chief Technology and Digital Officer at ICICI, Mumbai, Maharashtra. Mr. Kelkar, please, may I request you to please introduce Mr. Prahlad Pai. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Sure. So good morning to all of you. And I just heard some word like physiology, and we are now moving from physiology to philosophy. So I'm really excited. And stress is a day-to-day experience. We don't have to worry about getting it. We are all in it all the day and every day. So I'm here privileged to introduce Mr. Prahlad Pai. I'll quickly give you a brief rundown of his career. He has graduated from IIT Mumbai, Powai, IIT Bombay, BTech, and thereafter he completed his management post-graduation from Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management. He has also received total quality management certification from Japan. He was one of the 10 people selected from India for a special training in Japan. Of course, he has retired from a corporate world as a general manager from one of the MNCs. So he's an excellent combination of an engineering management degree and thereafter a corporate life. And I think the right person to talk about stress, because stress is a part of the senior management, and not only senior management, of course, everybody's life. The second introduction, he is son of the great reformer and social reformer and philosopher, Sadhguru Shri Vamanrao Pai. And he has propounded a philosophy of Jivan Vidya, which is based on laws of nature, and we are all people from science faculty and quite familiar with the laws of nature. This philosophy is logical, this philosophy is practical, this philosophy is useful to everybody in every walk of life. And Mr. Prahlad Pai has devised the different courses while Sadhguru invented this philosophy. The innovative Mr. Prahlad Pai innovated the structured structured narration of this philosophy in various courses. So we have various courses, and he is originator of these courses. He is also the faculty member. He is, also takes counseling sessions. He is called youth mentor because he is able to connect to millennials and Gen Z. He is able to provide counseling and lectures on life management as well. So he is called life management coach. He has given in various parts of India and outside India in US and Canada various sessions on the life management series. Of course, he takes the conference calls with Australia, India, and US, Canada, and other nations on a weekly basis. He also conducts sessions for the youth in terms of what exactly the youth should adopt as a strategy to succeed in their life. And of course, he talks about various dimensions, not just focus on study, but other dimensions, how to choose life partner and things like that. He also has received multiple awards. His service has been recognized by multiple organizations throughout India and outside. Sauli Foundation received an award. He received Samaj Bhushan Puraskar from Lokmat Group in the hands of our erstwhile Chief Minister, Mr. Fadnavis, in presence of our Home Minister, the then Home Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, and in presence of the late, no, the ex-President of India, and he received that award in Mumbai. He has been able to connect to many people through various sessions, and this is one of the sessions. He is part of the Spirituality in Day-to-Day Life course, which we conduct in Karzat Knowledge Center. So without further ado, I don't want to hold you from his lecture. I would request Mr. Prahlad Pai to take over, and somebody needs to do presentation of the slides simultaneously. So thank you very much, and I bow down to all the teachers of my daughter who are present here. My daughter was associated with Bombay College of Pharmacy, and thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I request Girish, our PhD student, please, could you please help us in sharing the slides?
Dr. Premlata, I will try to share first.
Okay.
1 minute. Just give me 1 minute.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Can you see this? Can you see the slides?
Not yet.
Yes, ma'am, they are up.
Yes. If we can see, yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Shall I start now?
Yes, please, sir. Please.
Okay. Let me first bow down to my Sadguru Sri Vaman Pai and my mother, and I welcome you all for this session. As Subhas introduced me, uh, I think I am shifting from chemistry, biology, and pharmacy to now mind management. But I would like to assure you that whatever you are learning, like molecules, atoms, and all those things, they are all related to mind only. So mind is affecting all these things. So these are all gross things, and subtle mind can affect all these things. So mind management is very important for maintaining the body, maintaining the health, and maintaining the uh, even your life. So let me start. I have given the name Enjoy Stress through JV principles. So when I'm saying enjoy stress, it looks little bit paradoxical because people may feel that how I can enjoy and stress can come together. So I know everybody will be thinking that this is a paradoxical things. However, I will show you that how we can enjoy that stress in my subsequent lecture. Before that, I would like to little bit tell you about the Jivan Vidya. See, Jivan is life and Vidya is knowledge. So, when we say Jivan Vidya, it is a science of life and art of successful and harmonious and peaceful living. So, founder of this is, as Subhash told you, social reformer and philosopher Sadhguru Sri Vaman Rao Pai. Why he called this as a Jivan Vidya? Because it is a perfect blend of spirituality and your day-to-day life. That's why he calls it Jivan Vidya. It is not pure spirituality and it is not pure material life. It is a combination of both. Means if you want to live a good life, then you should need the foundation of spirituality. So this Jivan Vidya is scientific. Sadhguru says it is scientific, practical, logical, secular, universal. This is because it is based on universal laws of nature. So when we talk about laws of nature, they are for everybody. It is not different. It is the same for anybody. It is irrespective of nation, individuals, anybody. No race, nothing. And it is practical means you can use it on a daily basis in your day-to-day life, in your corporate life, in your family life. Everywhere you can use this. It is logical because you can ask me any question. I will give you the answer for that. If you ask me why, I will give the answer. We are not just telling superficially. We are telling you with a reasoning, with a logical and then it is a philosophy is an excellent combination of psychology and is there any hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Sure, there is no problem. We can hear you loud and clear.
No problem. Okay. So it is excellent combination of psychology and metaphysics. When I'm talking about psychology, I'm talking about mind management, and metaphysics means it is related to spirituality. So let me go ahead now. Uh, when I say stress, I don't want to go into the definition of it, but as a formal thing, I will just tell you when you experience physical and mental pressure, you feel you are under stress. That is, I think, commonly understood definition. So, shall I repeat? When you experience physical and mental pressure, you feel you are under stress. Now, it can be stress can be in personal life, in family life, in work life, and whenever there are changes in your changes around you, changes in anything, whenever there is a change, you feel stressed. Then is stress bad? I would like to give one example. If you are using some rubber band, if you stretch it, then only it is useful or it is functional. If you don't stretch it, it cannot be used. But if you stretch too much, it will break. So similarly, the stress is also like that only. If it is not there, then you will not enjoy life. You need some stress to enjoy the life. And if it goes above some limit, then you will not enjoy and you will be in pain or you will be suffering from stress. So at moderate level, definitely stress is needed. I think everybody will agree on this because if you don't have any stress, then you don't fulfill your promises. You don't. You're not alert. It gives you motivation. It inspires you to do something. So you know when the exam comes near, then only we are motivated to study. If there is no stress, there is no date declared, then you are not motivated. So it is generally, it is, I think everybody will agree that you can enjoy some stress which is required for your motivation, for your increased alertness, and for your inspiration. And that limit, if it is crossed, then only we are in trouble. So we want to be in blue zone only. Right now I've shown you the zone. So if we are in blue zone, then I think you will enjoy this stress. And if it goes into red, now this zone will depend on individual. So some people can take more stress, they can enjoy more stress. Some people may not enjoy that much stress. So again, how much will be dependent on individual. But however, you can improve this blue zone. You can increase this blue zone further by using some techniques or using some psycho spiritual principles, which I am going to discuss today. Now, common measures people try. See, whenever people are stressed, just common measures, just any people or any person can try is they do yogasanas, they they want break from routine, they go on holidays, they go on various programs, parties, get-togethers, then they will try TV, music, go for the sports. Then laughter club is nowadays everybody is seeing that laughter club. So they go for half an hour, they laugh, uh, and after half an hour they become serious again. And then smoking and drugs, these are not at all accepted. Even limited alcohol is not accepted because that limit will, when you will cross this limit and it will become unlimited alcohol, we don't know. So all these measures, some measures are good, but some measures are no, like smoking, drugs, or alcohol. These are no, because if you go for that, you may land up in trouble and forget about the stress, but you will end up in some other troubles. So common measures, these are the common measures people try. I don't say they are bad, but it is like a wounded dog. I think you must have heard the story of wounded dog. The dog had wounds all over, and flies, they were bothering him all the time. They were sitting on their wounds, and that was bothering that dog. So what dog decided that there was a pond nearby. So what he thought that if I jump into that, these flies will go, and I will, I will be cool. I will be happy. So he jumped into the pond, and as he thought, same thing happened. All the flies went away. They went away, and he was feeling very better because he was feeling uh, very cool in the water, and he was very happy. So after half an hour, he decided to go back to his original place. So again, he comes out of the pond and go and sit in his place. What happened? I think everybody can imagine that. All the flies they were around on the trees, they came back on his wound and again start troubling him. So that half an hour was a temporary measure he has applied. It is not a permanent measure. So permanent measure is uh, to uh, you should not have those wounds. Wounds should go away. That is the only treatment of those wounds is the only solution, and not the jumping in the pond. So what we are doing generally, that we are generally uh, jumping in the pond only for half an hour, do something and come back, and again you are stressed out. So this example I think is good enough to understand that small measures, if you take, those measures are temporary in nature and you will not enjoy all the time. So what we should do for having a good solution on this stress, and that I'm going to discuss right now. Let's first find out the root cause of stress. See, if you find out the root cause of stress is always a fear. Fear is the root cause of everything because uh, there is a fear of losing the job, there is a fear of not achieving the target, there is a fear of losing somebody in your family. All those fears, not reaching the goals, not getting enough money. So we are all the time fearful, and that's why we are always after money, after, and we are worried all the time. We are anxious and we are worried all the time, and that is causing the stress. Now all this fear and all these worries, anxiety, they are coming from four factors, you can say. That is A, B, C, D of stress. A is attitude, or you can call mindset. B is a behavior. C is circumstances, and D is desire. So if you find out that generally you are stressed out because of what? There are some financial problems, there are some behavioral problems, there is politics in the company, then you don't get the promotion, you are stressed out, you are waiting for the result, then you are stressed out. If you lose some dear and near one from your family, then you are stressed out. So these are the circumstances, different circumstances and behavioral aspects. And last but not the least is desire, because we are always above the expectation. These desires and expectations are always there from everybody. Means if you are individual, then you have got your own expectation, your own desires to be fulfilled. Then there are expectations from your family, there are expectations from your boss, there are expectations from your friends. So the expectation from society and expectation from the nation also. So these desires and expectations are always increasing. They will never reduce. They will always increase because as soon as you get one, you will go for the another one. That is our always nature. So expectation will always go on, and ability will uh, remain uh, stable, because generally if you see the graph, your ability is not improving that much, but your expectations from the people and from the company, everything increasing very fast, and the gap is called stress, that you remember. So shall I define this again? What is the stress? The desire and expectations minus ability to fulfill equal to stress. Please try to understand this. If your ability is not improving and desires are increasing, then there is a gap, and that gap causes the stress. Similarly, there are some circumstances in the life, unexpected circumstances, because today's world is volatile, complex, uncertain, and because of that, you can get unexpected circumstances. And if you are not able to face those circumstances, then you will have stress. So here also, ability to face is very important. So how you can face the unexpected circumstances in the life, that will tell you whether you can able to face that stress. So stress can happen because of two things. One is your desires not getting fulfilled, and second thing is circumstances are beyond your ability. So these are the two major reasons for your stress, and this is coming out of This is coming out of your behavior and your attitude. That's why we always say that attitude leads to behavior. Please listen carefully. Attitude, your mental attitude leads to behavior. Your behavior leads to circumstances. And of course, your attitude leads to your desire, your aspirations, your expectations, and all those things are caused because of your attitude. You should remember this. So, so expectations, desires, needs, all these things are always increasing. They will never remain constant, because as soon as one desire is fulfilled, you are looking for something else. You will never be able to stop there. You will ask, or you will always ask for the more, and that is why that is called need more mode. What is need more mode? Your needs are increasing. As you must have heard in Maslow theory also. Your needs are always increasing, and those need more mode is equal to greed. In our normal language, we call it greed. So whether the greed is okay or not okay, greed is required, because unless you have some ambitions, you have some expectations, you will never grow in life, and your nation will not grow. So there should be some desires, there should be some needs, but that where to stop, that you have to know. And second mode is comparison mode. That is very, very important. We always compare with somebody else, because you are not happy with what you have, but you are always comparing with others, your friends, your family people. You are trying to compare with them, and that comparison sometimes give you the stress. Suppose you have got a car and your friend bought something higher level car, then you get your comparison starts. Even your son, he get 90%, he gets 90% marks. You are happy, but as soon as you know that somebody else in his friend or some of his neighbor, he got 91%, then your whole happiness, whole joy will vanish. And that is what is our comparison mode is. So when you go on for need more mode, then there is a problem. So these expectations are going to go all the time, and you have to stop somewhere, because unless you stop, you will not know, because you will be in trouble otherwise. So where to stop? That is the problem. Where to stop? So that I will discuss later, but right now I'm just putting this point for you, that your expectations are always on rise. Your expectation and others' expectation from you, all those things are rising all the time, and your ability remains more or less stable. That is a big problem. So what are the abilities required? Generally, physical ability, because sometimes your physical ability is important. Your financial ability is required for your satisfying, fulfilling your desires. Your skills are required, your competence is required. All these things you all know. But one more thing I think I am going to add to this ability, and that is psycho spiritual ability. I will repeat that. This ability is a special ability, and that you have to develop, and that is called psycho spiritual ability. And that ability can give you strength to fulfill all your desires, face all your circumstances easily without stress. And of course, you can get success with peace. That is very important. success with, and not at the cost of health or at the cost of some other things, but success with peace. That is what this psycho spiritual ability can give you. So I think you all must be, I think, wants to know this about this psycho spiritual ability, because this is the only ability which has got no limits. You can achieve, you can go to any length, you can go to any level and get the things done for you, and with peace. That is important. So I would like to go now on the psycho spiritual ability, and that is what is the heart of my lecture today. Because if you know this, if you know the power of your mind, and if you know the spiritual wisdom, then I think you can tackle any situation, any circumstances, and you can achieve, you can attract, you can create anything in life. That is the power of this psycho spiritual ability. Now, in Power of Mind, I have written that use of your subconscious mind to create and attract things and circumstances you want, you desire, you expect. That is the power. Now, if you can use the power of mind, you can achieve anything in life, because mind is a special uh, special thing in life. I'm telling you, because uh, I don't know whether I'll get time to discuss on mind, but I will discuss some other time. But right now, I'm just telling you that you have a subconscious mind which can create anything in your life. You can get, you can attract anything in your life. Things and circumstances you can attract. And for that, there are some methods that I can discuss some other time. But visualization and affirmations, and these are the methods you can use. And again, as I told you earlier, there is a mind body relation. All the body's chemical reactions going on in the body, all the uh, all the things what is happening in the body, they are related to mind only. All the hormones, neurotransmitters, all those things are connected to your mind only. So as you think, that will affect not only your body, but that will create a good circumstances in your life. So on one side, mind is connected to your body, and on the other side, it is connected to world. So if you think positively, if you think correctly, because positive word I have to little bit use, I will use that afterwards. So if you use your thoughts properly, thoughts can transform your health, that you remember. Because generally people are under wrong impression that mind is only a small part or small center in the brain. It is a wrong perception. Mind is nothing to do with the brain. Mind is affecting the brain. Mind is controlling the brain. So there is a relation between mind and body. So any hormones, if you want to create, that is created because of your thoughts and your emotions, that you remember. So if you are stressful because your thoughts are stressful, that is the important thing. So if you change your thoughts, the stress will go away. That is, and happy hormones, happy hormones will be created in your body, and you will feel good. That is the importance, that is the power of mind, it is the power of your thoughts that you entertain, that you remember. So if you entertain correct type of thoughts that I will talk to you later, then mind can affect body on one side, and mind can change your life on other side. because it can create anything for you, any circumstances. They can create a job for you. They can attract best things in your life. Everything can be done just because of thought. But how to do this is a important thing. Just thinking will not help. That thinking has to be properly impressed on your subconscious mind, and then only subconscious mind will express in your life. So visualization, affirmation, these are some techniques which I don't think I can discuss today, but some other time, if I get a chance, I will talk about this in detail about mind, conscious mind, and subconscious mind. I will talk in detail. Right now, I'm just mentioning it because this is very important for other full lecture. Now, I'm talking about spiritual wisdom. Now, here I'm telling you that wisdom and intelligence, these are two different things. You all are doctors and master's degree holders. That means you are intelligent in your field. So that we accept. Otherwise, you will not become doctor. So you all people are intelligent in your field. But wisdom is something different. That wisdom comes from spirituality. That is so unless you know core spiritual principles, you will not have a real wisdom in life. So wisdom is not that common, just like common sense is not common, we say. Same thing, wisdom is not, because everybody thinks that he is wise, but in fact it is otherwise. So wisdom will come only through proper core spiritual practices, spiritual principles, and these spirit principles will give you profound wisdom, and on that basis I think you can live you can lead your life very peacefully, successfully, and without any stress. So that is the strength of this spiritual wisdom. So let me go further now, and I will just describe some of the core spiritual principles. Let us start with spiritual laws of nature. Now, as I told you, our Jivan Vidya is based on the laws of nature. Now, laws of nature are applicable for physical and material things, as you were talking about atoms and molecules and proteins and all those things. There, the laws of nature are physical laws of nature. Law of physics comes into picture. But in your life, because life is a subtle thing, life is something different than your material things. Physical, it is not a physical thing. So for life, you need to learn spiritual laws of nature. They are laws for the subtle things. So what are the spiritual laws of nature? There are many, but I am going to take only one very, very major law of nature. So let me tell you, first law of nature is for every action, there is a reaction. You will say this is a law of physics. Newton has told about this law. Action and reaction are equal and opposite. But spiritual law is little bit different. And that is for every action, there is a reaction. But that reaction is multiplied and magnified. So this is little bit dangerous. If your thought is good, then there is no problem, because when we are talking about action, these actions are at three different levels. When we talk about the actions, their actions are at the three levels. One is at the thought level, second is at the speech level, and the third is at the action level. That is what we call karma. In general, in Sanskrit or in our scriptures, we call karma. Karma or karma, it is called in English. The that karma is at the level of thought. Whenever you think, you do the karma. Whenever you speak, it is also karma. And when you do some action, that is also karma. So for every action, there is a reaction. But the reaction in subtle things is multiplied and magnified. I'll give you one example, then you will know. If you throw a ball on the wall, the same ball will come back. But if you sow a seed, mango seed, in the ground or in the soil, in the field, then what will happen? It will disappear from the ground and it will appear as a full grown tree. So if you see, it was only one seed and now you are seeing the grown up tree, and that grown up tree has got multiple leaves, multiple fruits, multiple branches, so much magnified. And multiplied means there was only one seed which we have sowed, but there are 4,000 mangoes you get it from that tree. And that 4,000 mangoes again has got that mango seed inside. So one seed disappeared and it has appeared in 4,000 different mangoes. So this is we call as a multiplied and magnified. So sowing seed is a subtle thing. Then thought is a more subtle than the sowing. So whatever thoughts you sow in your mind, that those thoughts are more subtle, and that's why your reaction is going to be multiplied and magnified. That you remember. So what is the effect in our life? You have to be very cautious while doing the actions, because if the reaction is going to be multiplied and magnified, then you must be very cautious while taking any action. And all the time we are taking some action on another, and that we call in normal terms as a choice. There are choices for you to take any action. So at any moment in life, every moment you are choosing something. You have a choice to do or not to do. Your choice to study or not to study. Your choice to love your work or not to love your work. There are choices all the time in your life. And what choice you take, that depends. That will make your reaction, and that will give the consequences in your life. That you remember. So whatever choice you select, the consequences are fixed. That you remember. So that's why if you want good consequences, that means if you want good reaction in life, that means you want good situations, conditions, and circumstances in life, then it is better to choose wisely. And what is that wise wisdom that I'm going to discuss with some core spiritual principles? Second corollary of this law is mind moves from thought to thing. So this is a corollary of the same law. So what is that corollary says? That thoughts become thing. That you know, thought becomes the thing. So every creation, you can say, every creation in world is first thought in your mind. It was a thought in your mind, and then it has become a reality in actual world. Simple example means if you want to build a bungalow, first thing you think about that bungalow, how it should be. You plan about that bungalow and then you get that bungalow as a reality. So same thing happening everywhere. First there is a thought and then there is a actual reality. So you can now understand how much these thoughts are important. If your thought is negative, then what can happen? And if your thought is positive, what can happen? I think you can decide on yourself. So, third corollary is more you give, more you receive. That is a very fantastic corollary of the same law. Unless you give, you will not receive. That you remember. Unless you give, you will not receive. But generally, people are after getting something, receiving something, achieving something, and not in a giving mode. So we are not in giving mode, but we are always in receiving mode. And one thing I can tell you, receiving will create conflicts, receiving will create problems, receiving will create fights, receiving will create chaos in your life. And when you give, or giving always give you satisfaction, giving will give you contentment, giving will not have any conflict. If you give, nobody is going to take objection for that. But if you try to achieve something, there will be 1,000 people who want the same thing, and there is a conflict. So, in short, I can say that receiving is a stress and giving is the grace. Receiving is stressful, and giving is graceful. That you remember. So, this is a spiritual principle that more you give, more you receive. Finally, what is the outcome? Outcome is that you want something and that you will get it, but the way is different. Generally, what we do, we are trying to grab it from others. We are trying to grab everything. But here, the core spiritual principle tells you there is some another and easier way to get the things, and that easier way is to give more, then you will receive more. So finally, you are not losing anything, you are receiving everything, but the way is different. By giving, you are going to receive. By giving the respect, you will gain the respect, you will get the respect. Everything is like that. By giving the appreciation, you will get the appreciation from the people. So give more and more in all fields of life, not only money. I'm not talking about money. You can give anything, even smile you can give, there's no problem. Still, you will get the smile back from the people, and you will be respected all over. So, these are the three principles I talked about. Now, fourth principle I'm going to discuss, which is very, very, very important. Please carefully listen. Now, when I have put you in the circle, and on the periphery, at the center you are there, and at the periphery there are doctors, there are suppliers, there is a pharmacy people, there can be customers, soldiers, farmers, police, everybody is there on the periphery. What does this mean? That you need services and product from all these people. You need many products from the suppliers. You need medical attention from doctor. You need customers to take your product. You need farmer to get your food. You need soldiers and police to get your protection. So all these services and product, they are available to you. So I want to ask you one thing. Uh, do you owe to do you owe anything to society? That is a question I want to put it to you. Do you have a social debt? Generally, there is a saying, it is called social debt, and you have to repay your social debt. That is what people say. So, do you think that way? Do you think that we owe to society? Premlata, can I get some answers?
Yes, participants, you can write in the chat box. Yes, we owe. Getting answers.
Madam, the participants have access to mic, so if anybody wishes to unmute and answer this question, also they can wish to do so.
Requesting participants, please. You have access to mic.
It's a
Yes.
very simple and general question. Anybody can
answer. Yes, we do.
We do O, correct?
We do.
Now my next question is why? Because if I tell you, if I take the services of doctor, I immediately pay him very heavily. If I go to pharmacy and buy the medicines, I pay for that medicines. I pay for my food, for my vegetables. I may pay for every product and then only I get it. So this whole society is helping you, but not free. They are giving at the price. You are paying the price. You are paying the cost of that product and services. So where the debt comes, I don't see any debt because when you are paying, now take example of doctor only. Doctor is helping you to for your health, maintaining your health, and you are paying him. So where is the debt in this? Can somebody answer me? Because everything we pay and get it. So where is the debt?
Participants, you can unmute yourself and please answer. Dr. Meena, is it possible for you to unmute yourself and speak? Dr. Meena, you have written your answer, but we would request you to please unmute yourself. Is it possible for you to unmute? Just check, because in the previous lecture you were not able to. Okay,
Prahlad
Dr.
sir.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is Dr. Nargund over here.
yeah.
Being an academician, we have a greater moral responsibility of shaping the future society, is what is my view. How we are, the society will be like that, is my thinking.
Very good. Very good answer. Anybody else?
Sir, I am Archana, and
Yeah.
I hope, am I audible? What I
Yeah.
feel is, looking at your fingers of your hand, that if you give one time, in return, actually we are being benefited many times. So we should always be try to give what best we have.
Okay. Good answer. Anybody else?
So we have one answer from chat box, not from chat, actually WhatsApp. Dr. Meena Kanyarkar says that we need to give back. It's rule of nature, ecosystem. Give and take is a part of our life. So that's what she wants to convey.
Good, good. But what I was telling that give and take is going on everywhere. No? We pay doctor and doctor gives us his services to us. He is not doing anything free for us. No? If he does free, then it's okay. Then it is we owe to doctor. But generally, I'm talking about that everything we pay and get it. No?
Yeah.
Okay. I think replies were good. I will just clarify further. See, doctor, whatever payment we make to doctor, that is very meager sum, and what doctor gives you value. So I'm just wanted to differentiate between value and price. So value given by doctor is your health, your life, and what you pay is a little bit very less than what is the value of your life. You understand? So there is a difference between value and the price what you pay. For example, soldiers, they are working on the border, and they are giving the protection to us. So their life is at stake, and we are enjoying here. And whatever we pay is very small sum to them. That is in the form of taxes. but what you get protection from that soldier is a value is tremendous. So farmer is doing tremendous work. So value which we get it from these people and what we pay them, there is a tremendous difference. This is one thing. And what other another thing what is just now somebody said that society is giving you more than what you give it to society. That is also a good answer for that. So generally we owe to society, that we should know. And this has been more uh, uh, anyway, I'll take further next point in this. Why it is not going ahead?
Is there a lag at your side?
It is not moving further.
So can you just click on the center of the presentation and then try moving it?
Yes, thank you. So now I have shown you two circles here. Now you have been put on the periphery and some other customer is put on the center. Now here what I want to show you that when you are at the center, what you expect from the expect the services from the peripheral people. That is what you expect. You expect best thing from them. I think everybody expect the best from doctor. You will not say that that surgery was not good because doctor was not in the mood, or doctor had some problem in his family. So you will not accept all these excuses. Am I right? What you want is the best because you are paying him. So same thing when you are on the peripheral services, the other people also expect the same thing from you. This is what I want to uh, emphasize here. So when you want everything from services and product from other people, you always expect the best. You will never allow anybody to say, suppose you go and buy some TV and very smart TV and all, and there is a problem in that TV, and you call for the service engineer, and you get the answer that service engineer wife is pregnant and there is some problems, that's why I cannot send you the service engineer. What you will think, I am not bothered about what service engineer is, I want service. So you always expect from society the best product, best service, and at the best price. That is what you always expect. So when you go on the periphery, the other people are also expecting the same thing. That I want to say. I want to emphasize the same point that whatever you expect from the society, you are also supposed to give it to society at your best. That's why I think in COVID-19 situation, we have seen all these whatever points I discussed. COVID-19 situation, how much we owe to doctors, how much we owe to pharmacy people. They have come out with all this vaccination and all. So we owe to all these people, these suppliers, all these people have helped us to uh, be alive. So in this COVID-19 situation, this has made clear. And further, what I told you that your duty to give the best to the people, irrespective of whatever problems you have in your family, with your company, with your boss, whatever problems you may have, but you are supposed to give the best to the society because society will not accept your excuses anymore. So, do you agree with this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We have to.
Yes, sir.
So now, what is the spiritual principle? I will talk about the benefits and everything afterwards, but I am just now only talking about core spiritual principle. Now, this shows that we are interdependent, we are interrelated, and we are interconnected. This is the first thing. And second thing, whatever you do the work, you must do work sincerely, and uh, sincerely you must work with love. You must love your work. That is what is the conclusions I can draw. So do you, I think, do you all agree? Because this is a most important spiritual principle, that we are all interdependent, we are all interrelated, and we are all interconnected. This is a core spiritual principle. So I am not going into the spirituality of part of it, but I can prove you this by just on the face of it. See, I told you that how interdependent we are, because COVID-19 situation has shown us that we are dependent on so many people. Then COVID-19 pandemic has shown interrelation also. We are related to all people in the world. So anything happens in China, that has made havoc in all the countries. So how we are interrelated? Anything happens in any country, even American bank, in there is any problem in American bank, that has effect on our shares. So we are so interrelated with all the nations, all the people, everywhere we are interrelated. And third thing is interconnected. Now, interconnected is little bit difficult to understand. Interconnected means we are connected internally with each other. I'll just explain to you. This concept is little difficult but important also. I'll give one example. If you have a bungalow, or if you have any your house, in that house, if you see, all the wires are connected, correct? All the wires are connected, but unless you push the button, the that only light will you can see that light only, correct? So you need to push the button. Similarly, if you just think of somebody, then you get connected. That is what is the law. So if I think of Dr. Premlata, then I will get connected to Dr. because we are already connected. But that connection is not live. That connection becomes live only if I think of Premlata, then only that connection is become live. So what is the importance? Because whatever thinking or whatever I feel, whatever I think about Dr. Premlata, that will reach to her subconsciously. That is the point I want to make. I'm not going into depth of spirituality, but I want to tell you this. Because whatever vibrations are created in your mind, that will subconsciously reach to other person internally. You don't know how it goes, because there is a reason for that. Because life force is one, cosmic life force, that is what we call. So that is everywhere. Even cosmic, there is a cosmic mind, which is a combination of all the minds. And that's why our mind, our subconscious mind is connected to life force. And your subconscious mind is also connected to life force. So we are all connected. And that's why whatever you think about anybody, that will reach to that person subconsciously. He will not know consciously that it is reaching to him, but he will get that vibrations, and those vibrations will tell him what is your opinion, what is your feeling, what you feel about that person. That feelings and emotion will reach to that person, and you will get automatic response from that person. This is very important. I think you understood this. Shall I repeat this again? So whatever you think, see, first thing, you are wired. You are all connected to each other. Means whole world, all the people in the world, they are connected to each other. Only thing, when you think of that person, you will get connected. Otherwise, you will not get connected easily. Understand? So I think you must have experienced this also. Sometimes you remember some of your friend, and that day only calls you, or he meets you somewhere, something happens, and there is a connection is there. So you must have experienced all these things, that we are interconnected, but we don't know the value of this point. The value of this point is that if you think good about that person, then that feelings, that emotions will reach to that person. And if you think wrong about that person, if you think bad about that person, if you hate him, then what will happen? Those negative vibrations will reach to that person, and he will give you the same response automatically. He doesn't know, but he will give the response to you. So this is a very important spiritual principle which we must imbibe in us. Now, what is the use in life? That means when you think of others, always think good. Because if you think negative about somebody or you hate somebody, that is going to reach, those vibrations are going to reach that person, and your relation will never improve. In fact, your relation will further affected. So this can be used everywhere in life, everywhere in your family life, in your personal life. You can do it in your corporate life, everywhere. When you think good about others, others will think good about you. That is again law of action and reaction. Correct? But why it happens? Because you are interconnected. Then you are interdependent. Then interdependency means you are dependent on others. You are not alone. You can't live alone, that you remember. You have to live in because of others. So this dependency is very important to change your attitude. Now I'm going to discuss about our attitude, today's attitude. Today's attitude generally is selfish attitude. And I don't say that you should not be selfish, but up to what level, that you must decide. So generally our attitude is I, me and myself. This is our attitude. I, me and myself. We always say I know, I don't care for others, then it is for me. What is in it for me? Anything is there, you will always ask first question. What is in it for me? I don't bother about others. Correct? So this is called selfish attitude. So generally in Western countries, people are talking about it. It's my life. Now in India also it is happening, but generally when they are young ones, they always tell their father and mother, parents, that it's my life, don't interfere. That is the way they talk to their parents. But really it is my life. So I, up till now, whatever I explained to you, you must have understood that it is not my life. It is our life. It is our life, that you should understand now. So we always look from your own angle only. Our angle is always towards what I can get it from this, whether it is useful to me, whether it is beneficial to me. I don't care for the others. That is general attitude of ours. Now, if you see this core spiritual principle, is this going to help you? Because I told you, you are interdependent. You can't walk a step uh, without help of others. That is a problem. So when you think of yourself only, what will happen? When you say I don't care, others will also say that I don't care for you. And there is a conflict. There is a relationship problem. There are politics in the company. Why? Because you are always worried about yourself only. You are not worried about your subordinates. You are not worried about other peers. And you want you only want whatever you want. That's all. And that is the way is our attitude. And this attitude is going to not going to help us in life. That's why we have got hatred towards others. We are trying to grab the credit. We don't give credit to others. We don't appreciate others. We try to grab the credit of others. All these things are happening in our company, in our life, and these all are not good for you in long term. That is the problem. Short term, it's okay. You hog the credit of others and get the attention from the top boss. It can happen for some time, but not every time. So, as I told you, we are interdependent and interrelated. So, it is better not to have this attitude. And what our attitude should be, that I am going to discuss now. And this is the most important slide I can tell you. When I say I, me, myself is a selfish attitude, where I always has got attitude that I win and you lose. That is the attitude we keep even in bargaining also. If you are a purchasing man, when you buy with the suppliers, you want to win. That's all. Whether he lose or whether he gets the profit, you are not bothered. If I win, then it's okay. Then you will put all the pressures on him and then you try to win. But do you think you win? You don't win that way because nobody wants to lose. So if you make him lose, then he ultimately sees that you also lose in the bargain. So this is a conflict that starts by selfish attitude. So what is a team attitude? Team attitude is we, us, and ourselves. This is a team attitude. That means in the team, everybody should gain, everybody should win, everybody must get the due credit, and that is the leadership's role as a team player. So we, us, and ourselves is win-win attitude. You must have heard about this in management that I win, you lose, I lose, you win, 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 and all those attitudes are there. So then team attitude is win-win. That means you win, I win. So this is better than I win, you lose, but not the perfect one. I will tell you. When you deal with your supplier, I'm just giving the example of supplier and you relation. You try to see that he also get the proper profit and you also get the proper price. And then it is a win-win situation. Correct? Then second thing is when you make the products, if it is good for your customer, so customer buys the product from you and you get the profit whatever is required. So it is win-win attitude. But there is something more than this win-win attitude. That is, there are some society involved in this. So you produce some products which are good for that customer, but it can affect your society, it can affect your environment, it can affect the nation. It may not be good for the nation, it cannot be good for the society, but still you can win-win because you got the buyer and you get the profit. Correct? So win-win situation is again limited between you and your supplier, between you and your customer, between you and your team. So this is all win-win attitude. But here we are not thinking of a larger scale. That means, is it good for the society? Is it good for the environment? Is it good for the nation as a whole? Is it affecting? Is it problem for the nation? Is it problem for the society? So society is very important because finally you live in society. Even if you make a win-win situation in your company, finally you will not win because you will lose because you are staying in that society only. You are living in that society only. So whatever happens, that will come to you finally, that you remember. So what is the best attitude? And that is all inclusive attitude. Win all attitude. That means it is for all. This looks little bit idealistic, I know, but I will tell you how it can be practical. So for all means win all situation means try to see that everybody wins. Society also is not affected. Nation is also progress. All these things, if you whenever you make the product, that product should be good for your profit, your business, but at the same time, it should be good for the society also. That is the most important thing you must remember. Because if you try to cheat society, you are the part of the society, you are going to get cheated. That you remember, correct? So this is a very important spiritual principle that I is not enough. We must go for the we, and we is also not enough. We go for the all, and that's why we say your success is dependent on success of others. That you remember. You cannot be successful alone, and I think everybody agrees. Anything you get the success, it is dependent on so many people. It is depending on so many means society also. It depends on many people. So its success of is not your own. So it is based on the success of others. Your happiness is dependent on happiness of others. This is also very important course principle, because if you cannot be happy alone, you try to understand one thing. In your family, one person is sick, he is in hospitalized, then what happens? Whole family gets affected. That you remember. Even in your family, one of your brother is not doing well, you will get affected because of that. Anything happens for the uh, elder sister, that effects of that elder sister will come on the other siblings. So your happiness is dependent on the happiness of others, and your health is also dependent on health of others. That we have seen in the COVID-19 situation. You can't be healthy alone. You have to be, if everybody is healthy, then you will be healthy. That you remember. You cannot be healthy alone. So that has, all this thing has been really highlighted in this COVID-19 situation, what we have experienced for 1.5 years now. So final is, you can't live alone. You are not an island. You are dependent on others. You are connected to others. You are related to others. So what is the best thing? That you always think good about all. That is means what you have to do. I am not telling you to go and help all the people in the world. I am not telling you that. But at least start with your family. Start with in your company. Start with your neighbors. At least think good about them. If you cannot do anything for them, because it is not possible for everybody to do something good for others. I know, I understand that. You need money, you need some talents, you need something to help others. If you don't know, if you don't have anything, still you can do something good for people. That is thinking good about them. That can be done for anybody. Anybody can do this. That much I can guarantee. You don't need any money for this. You just have to think good about others. That's why illness start with I. It is really good thing to understand. Illness start with I. Wellness start with we. And all well is starts with all. That you remember. So if you want illness, then be selfish. More and more you are selfish, more and more you are stressed. Remember, I only want everything. I don't care. I will get at any cost. All this selfish attitude will give you illness, that is stress. And if you have got we attitude, yes, we together can do something, then you will have wellness. And all well means everything will go good for you. Everything, balanced life. Your social life will be good. You will do some social contribution to the other society. All these things you will, when you do, then there will be really balance and stress free and peaceful life for you. So this is the principle which is very, very important, and I think uh, very simple. I am not asking you to help anybody. Go and, if possible, do it. If you have got enough money, you can definitely help others. But if you can't do anything, at least think good, feel good about others, and try to help as much as possible. That will give you abundance in your life. What word I use? Abundance in your life. Understand? Next is gratitude principle. Now everybody is talking about gratitude, I know. When we say we should be grateful to the people, so now the question comes, who all do you have to be grateful for? That is the problem. So answer is you must be grateful for everybody. Your possessions, your company, your family, your health, your clients, in fact everybody. You must be grateful because I told you, you are interdependent, interconnected and interrelated. So even for your possessions, you must be grateful. Now you will ask me, possessions are not non-living things like car. If you have a car, so you must be grateful for your car because that car is giving you good service. And more you grateful for that car will give you better service to you. Now you will say how it is possible. Car is car. How they will know? Car will know. Car will not know your thinking. But gratitude is a thought that will create all these good thing in your life. That's why when you have any possession, you must be grateful for that possession. You must love that thing always. Remember. So what we do when we get when we have a car, if it becomes old, then what do we say? It is a dabba car. You start saying dabba. Don't say dabba because it has served you up till now. And now you are going to take a new car. That's okay. You must be happy to take a new car. But you must be grateful for the old car. Same way in the job. Whenever you are changing your job, this is very important, I'm telling you. When you are changing your job or you want to change your job, that time always be grateful for the existing company. You must be loyal and grateful for the company you serve. That force, it is a force, I'm telling you. Gratitude is a power. That power gives you anything in life. Gratitude is not a small thing. It is not only thank you. It is not only words saying thank you as a mechanical thing. It is a feeling and it is a great feeling of abundance, I'm telling you. When you thank somebody, you thanks, it is a it is a real power is generated in you, and that power subconsciously help you to get more and more of that thing, that money. So if you are loyal to your company, your job, then you will get better job, you'll get better promotion, everything you'll get in life. Only thing, you must be grateful for what you have. That is a very important statement I am making. Then whatever family you have, you must be grateful for each and every person in the family. You must be grateful for your health. That is very important. For every body part, every organ, you must be grateful. Then only that organ will serve you better. As you remember. Because gratitude will generate positive hormones in your body, positive hormones, and that will give you absolute health. Your immune system will improve, your healing power will improve, everything will improve with a grateful heart. So grateful heart will give you good health, that I can tell you. Grateful family will have a well knit family. If you are grateful for your family, you will bless. Hello. Anybody wants to say
So you
anything?
please go. No, no, you may go ahead. Sorry.
So, if you are grateful for your family people, then your relations will improve, your health will improve, your client relationship will help you. So, gratitude is a tremendous power. So, you must be grateful for everything in life. I'm not saying everything, from God to everything. And that will give you the creative power in your life. It will give you power to create anything good for you. It can give you everything in life. So gratitude is not only a thank you words, it is a feeling that you remember. You must really feel for your possessions. You should not, you should feel for your company also. Generally, what I say, I will come to that afterwards. So what we say, gratitude is next to divinity. Divinity means divine power. So gratitude next means it is a divine power only that will give you everything in life. So there is a saying from Dr. Murphy. What he says, a grateful heart is always close to creative forces of the universe, causing countless blessings to flow towards it by the law of reciprocal relationship based on the cosmic law of action and reaction. And again he says, think of all to be grateful for and thank God for all your boons and bounties. That is what Dr. Murphy is a great philosopher. He is saying that. So, if you want to be grateful, if you want to cultivate gratitude in you, if you want to imbibe gratitude in yourself, then you have to do some exercise. You cannot say that it will come automatically. So, what is that exercise? I will tell you, and you are supposed to do that exercise every day. Every day, I'm telling you. So, Dr. Premlata, can I talk about this gratitude now?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to give you this exercise. You can say it is a practice, or you can say it is a meditation. Hmm? Every day you have to do meditate this in the morning. You have to sit in a meditative pose and just think of all to be grateful for. Now, every day it is not possible to feel grateful for everybody. Then every day you select some people, like for example, family. Family, that I will tell you about the gratitude journal afterwards. But family gratitude is very important. So what you do in the evening, now I was talking about morning, but I will tell you that afterwards. In the evening, because family is most important thing. That's why I will talk about that first. There, if you can get together in the evening and just spend some 15 minutes with each other and just tell everybody that why I am grateful to you. Just tell them that I am grateful to you for this and this thing. So anything, whatever has happened throughout the day, suppose your mother has done some special thing for you, you can always say that in your family gratitude time that mother, you have done this for me, I am very much grateful to you. So you can appreciate that and you can be grateful for that. So everybody should do this as a practice. For example, you must tell your children also that what you who has helped you today in your school, your college, or anywhere. But you must find out that whatever good things happen to you, and you must be grateful for that person. So if you start doing this family gratitude practice in the evening, I think your relations, family relation will improve like anything. And we have got so many cases that it has improved. Only thing, don't say the same thing every day. Don't tell your mother that you have given me the food, that's why I'm grateful. Because it is a routine thing. You try to find something non-routine. Whatever extra he has done, your siblings or your parents, whatever extra thing, small thing, it may not be very big thing, a small thing you can find out and tell them that you have done this for me and I am grateful for that. Just express your gratitude, express your appreciation for that. What will happen? They will feel good. Everybody will feel good that you are noticing a small things they have done for you. And this practice will make you more and more grateful. This practice will make you more and more positively thinking. I'm not saying positive because this positive word has become negative now. if you are COVID-19 positive, people are worried about positive word. So I'm not saying that positive, your positivity, I'm saying. So if you start being grateful to the people, slowly, positivity will come into your uh, practice, and you will try to notice every small thing, because generally we don't notice all these things because we take it for granted. So many things your mother is doing for you, your parents are doing for you, your friends are doing for you, but you don't notice that. But now you, as a practice, as a meditation practice, you must start noticing. And even you can note down in your notebook also, small notebook, pocket notebook. You can write small things, whatever happened to you. If somebody has given you the lift, say thank you in your head only. You don't need that time. You can say thank you, but in the meditation practice also you can do in your head also. So whatever company has done for you, whatever boss has done for you, try to find out the good things that he has done. Generally, our nature is to find the negative things. Boss has fired me. That only you remember. But boss has trained you in so many things that you don't remember. So he has given you the training. He has given you the experience. He has given you the scope. He has given you the opportunity. All these things you forget, and you will only remember one thing, that he has fired me. So gratitude has to be, this culture has to be developed, and for that you can, in the morning you can sit in the meditation pose and start thinking what has happened good today, yesterday, and try to say thank and wish them good. Not only thank, wish them good. So what we make the practice, yeah, suppose I feel that I am grateful to Dr. Premlata, then in my head only I will say that I will wish her. What I will say, I wish her health, wealth, peace, and prosperity. I wish her health, wealth, peace, and prosperity. That way, I will be grateful to her, and at the same time, I will wish good for her. So, these are the things we must do every day in the morning, and every day change the people so that it will not become monotonous. Otherwise, it will become monotonous. If you start only doing gratitude for parents, gratitude for teacher, neighbor, then it will become a monotonous. And don't forget to be grateful for your company and your boss. That is most important. Not only boss, your people around you in the company. That is most important thing, because you are here because of your company. You can enjoy all the things in life because of your company. That you remember. So this is very important thing, and you must be grateful for the company every day, and you wish prosperity for your company. You wish prosperity for your boss. You wish prosperity for everybody around you. That will give prosperity in your life. That is a reaction. That is a consequence of your gratitude choice. So you are doing all these things, but you are getting more than what you expect in your life. So Premlata, we have time, or I should stop here because
Uh, we can go ahead for at least, we will be closing the session at 1 o'clock, sorry, 1:15, and it's 12:58. You can continue for some more time, and then maybe we will spend some time for question answers if you don't mind.
what I will do now, I will not go further because there is no end to all these lectures. But what I want to talk about this, I want to give you one exercise about your health also. So shall I put that
Yeah,
audio clip, video clip?
yes. So do you want to give any instructions to the participants that the way they have to sit for the
Yeah,
meditation?
yeah. It is everybody should sit in the meditative pose the way I am sitting. Can you see the video?
Yes, we can see the video, but
So
it's not yet played.
I will play. But
Yeah.
before that, I am just telling you the way I am sitting there, you must sit. It need not, you must be comfortable, not that if you cannot sit, then sit, you can take the possible comfortable pose. Okay, so comfortable is most important. You should be comfortable. Uh, And second thing, whatever I am saying in this audio video, that you have to just feel it inside. You just try to understand it and feel it. Hmm? Because I am giving the instruction to my body and my body parts, organs, and that will, uh, and I'm trying to be grateful for every part also. So try to listen to my whatever I say. I will make it 2 3 times so that you will remember that, and then you can do it at your home only. All these things. Understand? So shall I start this?
Yes, sir. You may go ahead. Thank you.
Can you see?
We can see, but yeah, no audio. No, we can't hear you. We can't hear that audio.
You can't hear.
No.
What can we do?
Dr. Elvis, if you can
Madam,
help.
madam,
Yeah.
if our volunteers have access to this, can they share it? Because it
Yeah.
requires you to allow the system's audio also. Sir might not be able to do that.
Okay. So Prahlad sir, please stop sharing, and we will share this video on your
Okay.
behalf.
Okay, you do that.
You may have